What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Vertigo bringing you some more Cosmonarchy content in the form of a dev stream again. Hope you guys are having a good time. Second dev stream of the day. Feeling pretty alright for this time of day and happy to get some more work done. So we got already Skirmish Badger and Lucy in the chat. Welcome. I released a donor work cast today while I was at work. I recorded a little phone podcast. I do that not every day, but usually every work shift. I try to make sure that I'm either doing one for the tabletop community that I'm handling or one for Cosmonarchy. So if you're subscribed on our coffee page for $3 a month or more, you get access to those. Content all the time. And even when I'm not on work shift, I typically make some time to talk some smack for those donors. Midnight Oil streaming. There you go, Chumbecca. You're doing well. Welcome, welcome. Some of you guys were in here for the first stream, and to that I say, Giga Chads. Now I am in the midst of actually putting the finishing touches on some audio for the cast I just did, so I'm going to go ahead and quickly finish exporting that. But then we'll get ready to work on some Sovereign Saga. I'll go ahead and also update my Bounty Boy text file here. We've already done the map pool updates. That was the first stream, pretty much. So we're all going to be doing Sovereign Saga stuff. I think the only thing that I wanted to do was quickly push the updates that Shambler had posted for his maps while I was at work, and go ahead and take care of business there, so that everybody has access to some more maps that they can test. So we'll quickly categorize that. That won't take very long at all. I just deleted the audio file that I was supposed to be using, but now I got to restore it from the cycle. Okay, and then... Oh no, I deleted it because it's done. Okay. No. All right, I'll come up with a cool thumbnail for that later. But I don't even really need to upload it right now. I just wanted to make sure the audio is taken care of. All right, so I guess there's a couple of other small things I can do real quick, actually. First of all, let's go ahead and I'll show you guys the dev process real quick of how we handle some of this stuff. So here, master, and then I guess that's not very instructive because you guys are just like, you just did a bunch of random typing, Pronago. You're right. So we're going to take these. We already merged Vec2, so we can go ahead and do this into... oh, wait, no. Where are we doing? Aren't we doing more? Isn't there more here? I swear there was. Oh, it got approved, but I don't think it got merged yet, right? So we're just going to go ahead and bring these in here. Yeah, looks like it's good enough. We'll go ahead and reload our Visual Studio instance. And all I'm doing right now is taking some debugging that Veek has put together, and we're going to see about building it and pushing it to pre-release so that we can start tracking desyncs a little bit better when they are related to random number calls, which are not all of the desyncs that we still have, but a portion of them. Some as of yet unexplored, unquantified number. Also, I built this in the wrong way, so I have to wait for it to finish building, and then I'm going to rebuild it. Although I think it might be doing the full rebuild right now, but that's okay. As soon as I hit the rebuild button, it's fine. Rebuild. Okay. Alright, so minimize that for now. We don't really need to worry about that. Are we checked out on main? Let's do main on release. Well, okay, sorry about main. Coding is always random typing. Yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. Yeah. Chumbecca is also formerly known as Hoop Thrower in our community, which is an Age of Empires unit. Hey, it's Kian! And Roller Skates! What's up, guys? Hey, by the way, not that it's super related, but... Oh shit, I misspelled my own domain website. Hold on. Tabletop. SunscapeTabletop.com launched today. Isn't that epic, guys? I don't know why it's not working. Probably... It's because it was HTTP instead of HTTPS, so it's user error, classic move. We have a Cosmonarchy like theme up here, which is pretty cool. I like it. I like it very much. And you can actually explore stuff here. So 3Crow made this. He's keying in the chat there. Very epic. And he's already like put some stuff in here. And so this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. You can register for accounts and make characters and stuff for the tabletop stuff. You can play Cosmonarchy in tabletop form. If you want in on that as I'm organizing it, you gotta pay some moolah. But if you just want to fuck around with it now, it's public, and we'll be adding more content to it over time. I just wanted to shout him out because he's in the chat. I was half of mine to do that earlier. I'm glad I actually waited until he showed up in the chat, and I was like, yeah, I can do that, and he'll see it. But it's pretty cool. SunscapeTabletop.com. Easy clap, dude. All right. Maybe we need to add an HTTP to HTTPS redirect. I don't know about that for sure. That's just a random thought. And we'll explore that later on. And close this for now. Do I need anything else that's open right now? Strictly think so. Go to map submissions started real quick. Oh, nickels. What else was there? Oh yeah, that was the other thing. I had opened up Starshorn Sepulcher. And I was going to go ahead and delete this triggering wall, Shambler wall. So, Shambler gave me the permission to do this. Go ahead and do it. All right. And the reason why I was doing that is because Starshorn Sepulcher. This is a tournament-ready map. It just needed, to have that change in it. That's all. At least as far as I can tell. It might... This might not be legally buildable? I don't know. Whatever. The layout's fine. If there's a bug in it, we can always change it. I'm not really that worried about that. Alrighty, we are going to now go ahead and go into class 0 and post these. Let's quickly identify them. Bulwark, we were talking about the build space area. Looks like the thirds mostly got build space. Maybe some slight build space increases in the main and natural. I'm going to say this is probably under worth a shot because the build space is still pretty small, but that can be a calling card of the map. It's not really that big of a deal, so we'll go ahead and stuff that in here. Charnel Pit, we were reviewing earlier today and decided... Technically, I guess we were reviewing all of these maps earlier today, but we were reviewing this and said I wanted like a big old wide ramp along here and make it so that I think that's what, no, I guess it was this and this I wanted. And then you knock this and this out. But he changed that up a little bit more. I don't know if this is good. Maybe I'm biased to my own idea, but I thought it was better. But doesn't matter. Do I think this is a standard map? I feel like the fourth bases are kind of far away, except for these new ones. Maybe this new one pushes it into standard territory? But, I mean, like, I feel like there's some kind of confluence of factors that make a map more experimental. It is a little bit more experimental to have no ramp into the main or natural, but Frozen Sylphid did that. I wouldn't call that one an out there map, really. I wouldn't call it an out there map because of only that, right? So, I don't know. I'm going to put it in worth a shot just because it's a little unconventional, but it's fine. Worth a shot probably needs a better description. Martyr's Ground, I think honestly this is probably a little bit more on the standard side. Looks like the Tensenders or Khaz'trits, whatever they were, got removed from 12 and 6, and this area got cleaned up a little bit, so that's good. Yeah, I think Martyr's Ground is actually looking like a pretty cool map, all in all. I did also suggest expanding these ramps out, but that was not done, and that's okay. Shambler's decision to make. We're going to put this in standard bearers. I don't really think it's that unstandard. Virgil's Ladder is a 2-spawn variant, I believe, of Limbo's Gate, and it's supposed to be now more open. So let's just I haven't really looked at this map, so let's quickly look. Main, natural, third. Fourth down here, much more open than before, which is a plus. This area down here is more open for sure. Comes into here. This is still kind of tight if you took this as your like 5th base or whatever, but I guess odds are you just wouldn't. I don't know. Actually, after you get past 4 bases here, it probably opens up into a lot of really interesting value propositions in a more macro-oriented game. Big thing here is build space. There's not a lot of build space on this map, and there's a lot more expansions than is typical on a 2-spawn map. And so I'm going to put it in worth a shot because I think that makes it pretty non-standard. Those are 2 pretty big things. Sigma XY has this is a Eye of the Beholder map, right? Beholder's Eye, because of how weird it is. But I think the main thing that we did here is, yeah, I encouraged him to make this a more straightforward pathway instead of a cliff. Is that the only thing he did? I believe so. So we're putting this in Beholder's Eye. No big deal there. Oh, looks like I apparently opened up a second window of it by accident. All right, Bloodboard. This is another Beholder's Eye map, I think. You've got this, I believe these are treasuries. Yeah, you can knock these treasuries out. Oh, it looks like he had an oopsie. I'll just go ahead and fix that for him. I don't think that was intentional. It wasn't mirrored on the other side, so it probably wasn't intentional. Although if it was mirrored, I would have just said, probably a bug. Still. But yeah, you got your natural, and then you come down here, and you're like, okay, I guess that's my third. But you can pop this open. So if you end up with vertical spawns, it's kind of like a functional map normally would be, and then you just unlock more stuff over there. I don't know. It is a really wacky looking map as a result of that. I almost want him to lean in. This is not real advice, but I almost want him to lean more into that by doing like this, so that like, but on all sides, right? So like you have to go all the way down to here, and then you can access the rest of the map. Because I think that really makes the vertical spawns like super different than the horizontal or cross spawns. But anyway, this is definitely a fucking wacky map, and I look forward to people. I don't mean this in a bad way towards the map. I mean like I just mean for the player's sake. I look forward to people attempting to play that map because I think it's going to be really funny. So. And I'm not saying that in a way that I'm like laughing at the map. I'll be laughing with Shambler at these people who are trying to do stuff. So that's my take there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and copy these map folders here and then pop into our 1v1, go to testing grounds, and I guess we'll go ahead and quickly delete these. And then all that should happen is that we added more maps, and we'll say add some Shambler maps to 1v1 C0. There's also one other one, which is Monolith, which got an update earlier in the month, and I just never updated it. So we're going to go ahead and call this one 1.1 because the other one was there. I will quickly take a look at that so we can categorize it. Interesting. What's going on, Godwheat? How you doing? All right, so thanks for beta testing our link ability, Roller Skates. Appreciate it. So this is Monolith. This is another Shambler map he updated somewhat recently at the 8th of July. Main, natural. Looks like this is a lot more open in the middle, which I think has some coolness to it. I really liked how tight these bases were, though. I really appreciated that these were like... It was. I don't remember exactly how it was. I could just open up the old map, but I'm deliberately trying to not take up too much time doing this. So I really liked that it was like weirdly like that or something. It was really particular. I liked that. I liked that more than what they are now. Anyway, maybe that'll change over time. I think these are revised positions for the 12 and 6. I think they got moved up a little bit. Or down, as it were, closer to 12 and 6 on the clock, I guess. in natural. So like this could be your third, but then you got to deal with this ridge. This could be your third, but then you got to deal with the whole left side of the map. I think there have been improvements made to the left side of the map in this version. This is kind of pointless to me. I know it's supposed to be like defensibility, but like anybody worth their salt is just going to attack around. Or maybe attack like... They might attack through this, but the way that this cliff is shaped, you can't really stop them from fielding a big army a lot of the time. Maybe I'll be proven wrong by like gameplay, actually. I don't know. Like maybe there's more value to this than I'm initially giving it credit for, but it does seem a little bit weird to me now. Anyway, left side of the map does feel a little bit like, what is going on? I like this conjoined ramp here in the middle. That's pretty neat. And then we have like stuff like this, which is very tight. So you can't really send big armies this way. You can start to, and then they get funneled. So that's probably like the first thing that comes to mind is like you probably want to do this here, just so that there's a little bit more space. But anyway, I think this is an experimental map. Is it so experimental? I think there's some experimental stuff to it, or non-standard elements to it, in the way that the layout works out. We're going to go ahead and put it in worth a shot. I don't think it's so wild that it's Beholder's Eye. That's what I say to that. Go ahead and grab our monolith map, and then go back to our class 0 in our own folder, so we have that locally. And then we're going to go ahead and push those maps. All right, now time to do some... I am the Crankman tendril of God. Okay. What a prank. That's a good Discord username right there. All right, so we have some cool stuff there. Very nice. Very nice. So let's go ahead and get off of Liquipedia for the moment and our web browser in general, and we'll talk a little bit about VTerran 03. We'll talk a little bit about Cosmonarchy. We'll talk a little bit about Sovereign Saga. Actually, you know what? I'm going to need to grab a Powerade from the fridge. I've returned with a Powerade and some mic static. Be silent, microphone. All right. What's up, Executor? Okay. Am I streaming from the kitchen? Well, that's the door to the kitchen, and the fridge right outside. Well, you see the stove, so that's enough. So I'm almost streaming from the kitchen. That's just for the office. I probably have to unplug and replug my microphone to get rid of the mic noise. How do you do, fellow children? I don't know why Newt is bone sawing with this fucking emoji, but it's really funny. Alright. We back. Also, I can announce officially in 1 hour. In 1 hour, it will be the day that I announce August crap. August crap is going to be cool, and I just wanted to announce that it will be cool, and that I won't announce it in an hour. I mean, maybe I will, if I'm still streaming them, but I don't think I will be. So I won't announce it in an hour, but I will announce that I will announce it that day. So in 1 hour, it's probably like 12 hours away from being out. So you guys know. Roller skates, you already exploded, so you don't get to vote. Exploding is a crime. Criminals can't vote. And if you don't think exploding is a crime, you seriously haven't met Necron. Okay. By the way, for no particular reason, I wanted to quickly look at something. It looks like they have slightly more durability, too. Augustius crap. Maybe. By the way, Arctic Ablution? Hell yeah. I'll cast that game later. Okay. So, we have here a mission called Veterano 3. I was talking earlier about how I kind of wanted to extend these cliffs over. Yeah, Harakans are criminals already, so if you're already a criminal, you're allowed to explore. I think that's fair. So we're going to quickly extendo. But how are we going to bridge that? If we were to do one more, which I think would seal the deal. I guess we could make this a little bit of coastal asphalt and then just have like a scene transition we hide with, a cliff transition we hide with sprites or whatever. What's confusing? No, that's not confusing, roller skates. Everybody knows it's called a stockade because all of the units there are criminals. That's not confusing. And the clerics read them last rites and the shamans dissect their dead bodies. Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I understand more now. You more so mean how I justify allowing them to explode in the first place. Yeah, that's called the government. Got him. Absolutely got him. Double it and pass it to the next person. But enough about Jay Wilson, Blizzard. Got him. Absolutely got him. Okay, now that I've finished pulling those cliffs out, and I check to see if they actually block pathing. It looks like they do. They look to block pathing. I don't think any unit's going to make it through there. That's true. So the problem is now we need to go ahead and see if that's still true after we bring over these cliffs. last throws. Should probably put some music on. Okay. I can probably make that work, yeah. I think so. That'll be easy enough to handle. Okay. So I think that takes care of that, but let's double check our pathing. Go to pathing. And it is a little bit more permissive, that's for sure. But what about our regions? Oh no, it says green. We're going to have to do something to make that not green. Because if it's green, units will automatically... This line here, this green line that connects these two, this means that they will attempt to automatically path through that. If anybody's ever made a tile set, Ashworld tile set map, you kind of know what I'm talking about here. It's a pain in the ass. You're right, Skirmish Badger. We are better. Simple as. Yeah, a little spot here that gives you the ability to see what might be going on under the sea. Pretty good. Plus, I think giving a little bit more infrastructure feel to this area will help it feel like it's a bit more of a colony. I don't know. It's a small little thing. But I think it'll help out. All right, so anything that doesn't have like a clean transition point into it, we'll just use a sprite to cover it up. I don't know what it'll end up being for sure. Probably, if I had to guess, at least for now, we can probably go into the space platform tile set. We can quickly go ahead and grab something like this guy. This guy here. Occasionally you can throw stuff in there and it'll look like scaffolding or whatever, right? So that's kind of what I want to do here. Have it be. Yeah, the civilians as an idea, they make a lot of sense. They don't have a gameplay purpose, and I wouldn't really want to mod in a gameplay purpose for them for the sake of this. I think just having them appear, maybe in like early like opening stuff where it's supposed to be a bit more cinematic or whatever. Maybe the first round, like maybe at the beginning of this mission, you have a couple civilians being like they're like running from across the bridge or whatever, and pursued by some Zerg or something. A little like vignette that you can check out. I think mission 2, you're in the midst of evacuating, and so you find a bunch of spots, and you only see the military units. And that's fine. This one is like a colonial planet-wide evacuation, though. It's not just a regional evacuation. So this feels like it's more valid to have a couple of civilians out there. For sure. A good idea. Welcome back, Executor. So we didn't quite fully finish this area up. We definitely need some kind of asphalt doodad that we can use for creating a barrier. Specifically looking at here, maybe. See, I don't think that actually blocks the pathing the way that I would immediately want it. That more so does. Maybe not like fully completely, but enough. Okay. Yeah, that one would do it. Now we just have to figure out how we're going to make it so that that doesn't look really out of whack. One thing I thought about was maybe having this be like an extended bit of scaffolding there. Well, like I was just mentioning before you came back, I don't really want there to be much of a gameplay purpose for them. I think they'll just kind of disappear as part of a, in-game cutscene, if you want to call it that. And I think that's totally fine. They don't really need to be more than that. My main concern or focus is mostly just having there be a little bit more going on in the ambience and atmospheric aspect of things, wherever possible. Looks like that actually doesn't do what we need it to do to block this. I'm not really sure if there is something that we can do. Might have to do something like weird. This. Yeah. We might have to do something like that and then just be like, don't look at it, guys. You know? That's fine. If that's what we gotta do. Maybe I'll add in some other tiles later on or something, but... Okay. We can always come back to that stuff. Not terribly concerned in this moment. Alright, so we've obviously added a couple of things there. One thing that I feel like would be kind of neat is if we added a little bit more gameplay to this back area. So I'm expecting that for the most part. So like one thing that now that we've sealed this area off to this side, this bridge is a little bit less relevant, right? And so maybe making it so that this area, which already looks a little bit distinct from some of the other spots, maybe this area does have that ramp that we were talking about when we were here before. Maybe we give it a go real quick. Okay, go to Badlands. Just gotta scroll down a while till I get to the structure. No big deal though. Structure dirt 1. Oh, that's for dirt though. Where's my asphalt? I missed doing like map design inside devstreams. It's very cool to be doing some more campaign content stuff where I'm actually working on some layouts and whatnot. I think that's pretty neat. Now, this area being a pathway could be a problem. I guess it's like the way that I'm planning the AI to scale up. They probably won't attack through this location for a while. So adding a ramp here actually is kind of attractive just from a level design perspective, because it's sort of like you don't, initially, right, you're going to look at this and feel empowered. Because you've got 2 bridge choke points here. This is a stronghold, you can take it. And then, like, they start coming at you from the left-hand side. And you're like, oh, well, I got to make sure I take care of this mineral-only base by, like, garrisoning up here and taking care of this ramp and making sure my left flank is defended. And we're going to do something back here a little bit. Not another pathway, just something back here to make that a little bit more relevant or whatever. But the east attack comes in, and you're going to be like, oh my god. So the thing that was previously like, I'm strong because of this terrain, it will transform into something less empowering and more scary as the Zerg take command of more of the area. And I think that slow creeping dread is kind of what I'm thinking about here. I also think that placing it exactly where I did here, so that some of it is obscured by this doodad, it's a little bit of small visual like impact to the deterioration. Like it's compressing that pathway because this place has fallen into disrepair because of the Zerg invasion. So there's something going on there where like the fiction of the world is impacting the gameplay. And if you're like, damn it, why is that doodad there? You can think that, sure, but you got to remember that maybe will remind some element of the player base that like, oh man, the Zerg blew this fucking place up or whatever, you know? They ransacked this place, so it's not in good spots. It's not in a good state. So that's why that doodad is blocking my path, you know what I mean? So hopefully that's like a small layer there. But also, when the Zerg are using it to attack you, it's a little bit easier to wall that off then, right? With units, obviously. No, there's no Nidus worms. I won't do any like spawned-in shenanigans like that in general. Everything that you're going to have to deal with is there because the AI made it so, or because like an entire AI player arrived mid-map with a spawn and then built up a force from that point, you know what I mean? I don't know what maps will be valid for it right now. I can't really think of that right in this moment. But like, I think it's totally valid for there to be a map later on where like enemies are constantly arriving. I guess the obvious take would be Omega, right? Like, enemies are constantly arriving, and you just have to fend them off for as long as possible or whatever. You know, that kind of thing where they're just showing up. That's fun. But not in the context of, like, spawning in an army or whatever. That's not really the vibe. That's not really the play. In my opinion. Not as much of a fan of that. I do think we can probably go ahead and slap a ridge and a couple of mineral fields over here. This is a little self-aggrandizing, but it's going to be a slight reference to the Hydra level that had a base up in this area. No idea if people are going to get that reference too much. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. when I see that as an option. Will the Ascozy AI be out in time for August crap submissions? I don't know for sure because I don't know what unknown tech issues may arise. But I will say that the thing that comes to mind about that is I'm going to be working on Ascozy AI throughout August. But August crap will be focus on something that the Ascozy does not have right now. Wink, wonk, if you know what I am speaking of. Encoded language. So, that doesn't mean you can't use them. Or try to use them. But you may consider... Well, I guess it probably doesn't matter. I mean, if you make a mission where you're fighting against Ascozy, it'll be pretty hype, so... I don't think it really... Forget what I said. It don't matter. Human rights. Absolute devastation, honestly. Alright, we got a little bit of development out of that. That's pretty neat. So I was talking earlier about this area and how I wanted to maybe adjust some stuff over here. Put a tree on that dirt patch square, IDK. Oh, I was just grabbing the tile so I could paste it for this town center marker. There probably could be some kind of courtyard of some kind. We could, like, convert this into grass. I have some asphalt blends here that I could use. If I wanted to flex, I could probably make it the green jungle grass, because I do have that ported in here. I'm the embrace and tender of God. What's up, dude? I think having a little bit of something over here is pretty nice. I don't usually want to mess around with the visuals of the starting location too much because I like the feeling of, oh shit, this is a old thing made new, and like what's new about it is the stuff around it. But little details, and this is I guess more than a little detail, but details like this I think are fine to throw in. It actually weirdly to me right now, and maybe this will change when I play around with it a little bit, but it kind of feels old coded. There's something about that particular grass type, the Badlands grass, that feels 1998. Maybe it's just because we don't get to see too many maps that use that kind of grass or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah, throw a little bit of this in here. And I think that will handle the... Yeah, that'll handle the worry there about this, like, weird flank path that existed. Critters are native to the Badlands? Yeah, Rhinodons. Yeah. Well, I guess this place is under a little bit of, like, evacuative measures or whatever. It could be kind of neat if the, like, the reason you don't see the Rhinodons in map 2 is because the Zerg already took over, but you get a couple in here. Yep. Pepperidge Farm remembers that shit. I wonder, it's not very practical, right? But I actually kind of like the idea of using the cruddy... There it is. I don't know why I couldn't find that for 100 years. Oh, it's not the same thing. Using this really small ramp here, I think is actually kind of amusing. I guess I actually have to do it like... I guess, is there really no way to do it so that it's even? I guess not, right? Anyway, the single ramp here is really funny, but Zerg units can actually navigate through that just fine, so it's kind of fun. Doing it here. Yeah, I think that actually works better for general flow. Anyway. The old TO2. Yeah, that's what this base up here is a little nod to. I don't think that many people will bother taking it, but if they do, they can. I mean, treasuries will exist, right? Oh shit, I'm in bed watching some Dead. What's up, Alexander? Hope you're doing well, dude. Honestly, a surprising number of homies tune into these Cosmonarchy dev streams where I'm just kind of farting around on a map or whatever. So I appreciate all you for hanging out. And while I do have your attention, I will remind you guys that we are raising money for our competitive events, and if you know, whatever money gets raised for that is actually a good boon for the casual stuff too, like the campaign development and whatnot. If you want to call that more casual, I mean, Skirmish Badger's been finding out it might not be so casual. It might be a little hardcore actually, but that being said, we are raising money for that stuff. Streamlabs.com/Pronego, great way to support, and a great way to make sure that you're allowing me to work on content for longer and better times than before. More betterer. To improve the content. Pretty good. We can't read any of the menus. Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of rough resolution-wise. So we've tightened up this area a little bit. I was kind of thinking about where you're going to place a lot of buildings. I might be able to encourage the player to place structures a little bit further down here, spread them out a little bit if I just add a little bit more unbuildable terrain behind the ministry. I think that's fine and valid. This little angle here to try to defend against Zerg coming in from this area kind of makes like a really neat... There's like a two-stage little approach, right? Like this is way more open than this. But if you hold here and here, you don't need to worry about holding this and this and this, right? So there's like, I like that there's like a couple multi-stage areas. I can get rid of the grid layout. You just hold Control, I think it's Control Alt G toggles a grid. You can also do it in display or options grid. Alt G is normal. Okay. Well, apparently there's different ones. I don't do the grid. I do occasionally need it, but I really try not to where I can help it. Yeah, I've got this whole like river that I tried to make it like carve through the map a little bit, and then I kind of like you sort of see it wrap back around over here for a moment, and then over here is a bit more Badlandsy in the top right, and I think that's fine. So, and you got this like artificial lake that they made. That's pretty neat. I also like that in order to take a base like this, like to rotate around from this angle is kind of obnoxious, right? So you want to try to rotate around this area, but then your army's down here. Like if you're trying to rotate between like, I'm defending over here and then they attack back here or this base or something, rotating all the way around here, that's one thing, but then what if you're attacked to your front gate? Then your army's like nowhere. So I think that there's a lot of potential there. Yeah, the Sunscape tabletop website's super fucking good. The Zerg AI will automatically make Niduses once they hit tier 2. And I will allow them to hit tier 2 in this mission, I think. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I didn't make like really strong decisions about that just yet. What time is it? 30? Okay. Have a little bit of time here. Yeah, I think we can... I do want to keep going about shaping like the player areas, like this side of the river, the player's side of the river. I want to keep shaping that area and decorating that area a little bit. But I do briefly want to just zoom in over here to place a couple of the starting conditions for the Zerg player. That is going to be your typical enemy. I believe originally they started with a spire and a spawning pool, and I think maybe a den as well. I guess that's the problem. By default, the computer in these maps always starts with a lot of stuff. So just to show you guys what I'm talking about, this is the starting conditions. So hatch, pool, spire, and then the den is up here in the corner for some reason. Yeah. Don't ask me how they made like creep colonies in StarCraft 1, back when you couldn't pick it up in an Overlord, an Avila. That's just a shrug. How
how long an AI is, or how long would it take to make that? Are you bad enough dude to allow Zerg to hit tier 2? Yeah, I don't know if I am. I think one enemy Zerg with multiple bases. It's 2 Zerg AI, so I'll run through the flow of AI decisions in a moment here. I'm just sort of like refamiliarizing myself, but mostly everybody else about what this original map had. If we go ahead and switch over to the player 5's supply, they start with 70 supply of stuff. The player only starts with 25 supply of stuff. It's pretty hard to imagine you could just survive an A move. I feel like you'd just die. So, here you go. Not a lot of stuff there for you to kind of hold on to. So I think with the players starting with less supply than that, by the way, we've got, what, 2, 3, 4 Mavericks, the 2 over here, the 2 over here. So 8 Mavericks and 2 Vultures. And 6 Masons. So not the largest worker count, but enough units that if you really needed to emergency consolidate somewhere, you probably could. And there's going to be a couple of vignettes or whatever, a couple Zerg units running in. They're just going to pretty easily get their heads shot, so it's not too bad. Now we're going to be over here real quick, and then I'll run through that flow that I was talking about. So first of all, I can't even remember, but I think they had 2 hatches. That's not super important, though. They might have only had 1. This is player 3. So we are going to give them a Larvosk and pop it right there behind the minerals to add a little bit more Kager spread over here. I will give them a Spraith behind the minerals over here, and that's also mostly for the spread of things. And then we're going to say, rather than worry about the pool pond, like oh, they started out with all the tech and stuff before. If we quickly take a look at Sovereign Saga Mission 2, the AI doesn't actually start with anything, and they build everything from the ground up. Up here in the top right, we do have like infested stuff, but no tech. So the AI makes themselves a pool. I don't believe they go Vornath. I think the only Zerg units that you face as direct parts of attack waves are Zeths and Quas. Of course, they're the Quas Rakor, so it's a little bit of a difference than the Quasilisk, but pretty sure that's all you face. It's just 2 units. Meanwhile, you actually, technically, you have access to Mavericks, Harakans, Cyprians, Clerics, and I think maybe not Shamans. I'm pretty sure I disabled Shamans, because I want to demo those in either this mission or the next mission. I guess I haven't decided yet. So you have 4 unit access, and the Zerg only has access to 2. I think. I don't think they even make it. Jack asks where to find Ahmed. Ahmed is in every mission of the Sovereign Saga. Of course, I will not stream when I am implementing the Ahmed spots into Sovereign Saga, but I will say out loud to everybody who is listening right now, you guys have to understand, okay? Like, zoom in my head real quick. Ahmed is actually difficult to find in Sovereign Saga. The tutorial is probably the easiest one. It's probably going to be the easiest one. Ahmed will not be an easy pickings. It's not just that he's hard to find his spot, but in order to spawn him in for the sake of actually doing anything with him, you need to do certain things that are not telegraphed to you. Ahmed is an Easter egg that you actually have to go on a pretty dedicated Easter egg hunt to find. Flame Vipers couldn't even really figure it out, as far as I know, from what he told me. He might have figured it out after this and just not shared it. But he couldn't even figure it out while looking in the map. So I don't really think I hit him that well in the second mission. But that's an example of, like, people really trying to figure this shit out. And they can't always. And that's okay. Sometimes they will give up. Somebody 5 years from now will hopefully make a video essay about Ahmed spots. And that's okay. I like that. Hey, it's Beaver. The Ahmed ARG. Yeah, Lucy. Ahmed's just a funny guy. And he goes into funny places, and he requires funny things of you before he will talk with you. He is sometimes a capricious god. That's okay. Sometimes you're like that. So I think we'll start the player, the initial AI off here with a pool. Where are we? Quaseth Pool. Here. I'm not sure where I'll put it yet. Trying to make sure it's not super in the way. Probably right this one. Ahmed. Yukmed. Ahmed. So they're going to start with a pool, and I think that's fine. And I will give them a couple of basic units. But I think they'll pretty early on, they're going to want to go for... I have to replace these with Quasra cores after replacing them. And the Zorius has to be replaced with the Enzorthra core. 422. And was this 415? Is that what I said? Okay, so I'm going to give them an Enzorthra core early on. Remember that the player starts with 8 Mavericks and 2 Vultures. If they start attacking this position when the Zerg already has 2 larvae per 14 seconds and the ability to make military units, I don't think they're actually going to be able to get critical pressure. And this AI will be able to reinforce as well, so there is that to consider. Ahmed can hit air units. Iquar returns from the dead with a 3-hour, 33-minute video on how to reverse engineer the secret Ahmed hardcode and hidden in GPT. Oh, boy. That's pretty wild. The other thing that I think I'll throw in here, I'll throw in a couple of Nathra cores. Because I think it's kind of thematic that there were air units visible. I think Nathra cores showed up in like the one area that I did the vignette for attacking. Yeah, so Nathra cores were not available in the sense that they didn't exist for like... yeah, Nathra cores weren't available for the AI to actually make because they didn't make a Vornath bond. But they did exist in like a couple of vignettes in Mission 2. Just remember that. Is there still that Easter egg where Protoss encounter sometimes acquire? Yeah, actually in the Elimination 2B, no, 3B? Yeah, Elimination 3B of Acropolis 4. We had Shopkeeper Dog playing as a Scozy, hit him up playing as random. Game 1, he rolls Protoss. He goes a Cantor drop. His first Acantor is an Iquertor. Every Scozy emulates him before dying. Only for now, Chimber. Only for now. God of Fire and a polyioid adhesive with authorities of concealment and bizarreness and fraudulence. I don't know what the I feel like you're referencing something I don't fully grasp there, but concealment and bizarreness and fraudulence is correct. Is correct, particularly in Sovereign Saga where he's concealed. Zerg Shambler does still exist. Yes, it is. It might be called Shambleth now. I think I did change them all. The Positron can be a Saucitron. We did see that once. I think it was in the finals even. It might have been. Or maybe it was DeWalt. No, it was DeWalt versus Krankenda, the show match. That's what it was. Beaver, I don't know if you remember me talking about like, oh, I hope DeWalt plays this one day. But, dude, it's kind of surreal that I can be like, yeah, and DeWalt's like second or third show match. That just happens, dude. That's just a thing that happens. Pretty banger. Is there a Veek one? I'm pretty sure there's a couple ones that reference Veek in one way or another. I don't know if there's a direct Veek one. Deputy Dad. I'll take suggestions for that one, 3K. I think that's a good one. I guess it would have to be a robot of some kind. But I like the ones that are name plays. Like fucking Geyser George was hilarious. Vespine Georger. So, stuff like that I think is pretty cool. Alright, so we've placed a couple of stuff over here. I think this is all valid. So I was promising 3 Crow that I would tell you and everybody else watching my ideas for the flow of the AI. So I've got 2 build orders in mind for the AI, and they're going to be synchronized across the 2 players that are using the same color right now, and I don't think I'm going to change that. So player 1 is the default player over here. Well, he's technically player 3. Zerg 1 is over here in the top right. Zerg 2 is in the top left. So Zerg 1 has the preeminent position the pool, the couple units or whatever, early larva production, they are going to expand relatively quickly, but what they choose to do is dependent on what they actually choose to expand to. So I think their first expansion, I'm going back and forth on this, so every time I talk about this is a little bit new, so even if you've heard this before, pay attention. The hatch down here, I think, is going to be the main base. I think this is the natural for Zerg 1. I think Zerg 1 always takes this base. The question is, do they immediately go from this base to the 3 o'clock and start trying to tighten the noose around you? Because if they do that, then they're doing the aggressive build order where they're also going to expand down to the bottom right. And after that, they'll try expanding to the high ground over here, the 12 o'clock. Those will be their other 2 bases that they take. And they're going to try to basically lock this side of this whole like semicircle, right? And start tightening the noose that way. Zerg 2, if Zerg 1's doing that build, Zerg 2 will probably do an aggressive expansion idea of their own. And they'll have a small chance within that to choose to expand behind the player's main, where if this isn't spotted, you're going to get sunken creep, which is actually, funnily enough, like the VTO1 Hydra mission for Cosmonarchy's map state, if you guys remember that one. So that's really funny. I think for the most part, though, he's going to take... Zerg 2 will take this base, and then this base, and then probably try to do like a hatch creep, where he's sort of like pushing forward over here with a bunch of his production, and he's just going to try to flood the other side of the river, and see if you're going to have to try to like hold him off at the pass. And this Zerg 1 is going to be trying to get up to a more advanced technology. And I think that's where you'll probably see Zerg 1 expand, get a Zorkish Shroud, upgrade to Vornath Pond. So they've got Vorvs, Nathracors, Inzorthracors, and Lakes. And they're going to start using those tools for turtling, anti-drop play, which I guess you won't have access to air units. But whatever. They'll garrison the Nats as if they're anti-drop, and that's important for like player conditioning and indicating that the AI is actually preparing for that kind of thing. Even, you can technically float anchors, so it's even sort of a valid option. But you guys get what I'm saying. The AI is going to pretend... The AI is playing pretend in a way by saying, even though you can't make air units, we're still going to respect the idea that you could. And we're going to cross our T's and dot our I's in that way. Those are our power doctrines. And they also won't necessarily... not guaranteed to have the knowledge that you can't make those areas. Regardless, the Zerg 1 approach of going for the more aggressive stance is going to delay their tech up a little bit. They'll wait until they have this high ground base and the 12 o'clock in order to start teching up. So if they... basically, those are going to be preconditions for them getting their tier 2, and that answers Trimbecca's question. I think I am a bad enough dude to let the Zerg tier up, to go to tier 2, and flood the map with mutas. I think you're going to see a sunblot element here, where you're going to get a lot of mutalisks. And that's all they're probably going to make in tier 2. I guess they'll probably make a Nidus, and start also using that to their advantage. But you're going to see mutas are going to be like the main thing that you end up seeing there. So you've got Zerg 1 that goes for 1 base, Zorkiz, Vornath. Base number 2. And base number 2 dictates if it's a fast tech up, which gives you a little bit less immediate pressure, and you can maybe try to respond to that, or if it's going to be a slower tech up. If it's a slower tech up, then you're going to have to deal with the increased aggression. If it's a faster tech up, then you're going to have to deal with the faster timing of mutas, but maybe a little bit less of an economic engine behind them. I like the Olympian emoji idea. Zerg 2, I think if he goes for a tech rush, if Zerg 1 goes for a tech rush, Zerg 2 is going to try to buy time for that tech rush. And that will probably dictate like more aggressive early floods or whatever. So I'm gonna open this area up a little bit for army movement because of the fact that there doesn't exist a path around this area anymore. So when you come around here, you can go straight down a little bit easier than before with more units, and you can kind of like flank out and spill out over here. I think that's appropriate. Hello, Iron Torch. Holy moly, what a man. Now, technically, I think I did see a comment from you like earlier this year or something, but this might be your first chat message in a while, dude. How have you been? Hope you're doing well. It's been like years since Iron Torch was a regular in the stream chat. When am I going to program the Zerg AI to make IRLets and drop circuits in the player's mineral line? Procedurally telling the AI that they can pick up their structures is probably some kind of twisted dark art, and I don't know how I would have the AI do that. I could do it for a cutscene or something, but doing it as procedural gameplay interaction is probably pretty difficult. Yeah, I've been all right. You know, it's been it depends on the time scale that you're talking. I think across time, I'm doing pretty well. Things very lately have been a little rocky, but we had a really cool Acropolis, you know, competitive 1v1 tournament, and now we're working on a pretty cool map. Enter transport in a small location area with circuits with probably not. The Blood Summon have programmers too, right? Well, I hope they send some backup. The triggers are there. So, like, Executor, the way that the enter transport thing works is that you're actually issuing an order to the unit to enter a transport. And I'm pretty sure you can't do that to a defensive structure. Yeah, your right click is trying to attack. So the trigger, all the trigger does is do this. But if right click doesn't work in that way, then it might not work. I'm saying might not because I honestly don't know. I never tried it. The triggers could be there. But also you got to remember, we're talking about an AI that's like actively playing the game. And they're going to be wanting to have their units do certain tasks. And we need to give them a state that says, hey, don't use me for anything else. I'm part of an attack, and I'm adding this unit into the attack wave. And I have to be the transport that carries the unit there. That's what I have to do. That's my job as part of the attack wave. So don't send me for detection somewhere else or transporting some other unit. I'm busy. Like, we need to be able to tell the AI to do that. And that sounds maybe simple when I say it that way, but it's not simple. It is not simple, unfortunately. But I can kind of see how you might try to do something like that, though. Probably need to piggyback on code where you... The AI script would have to attack add. You'd have to attack add a Scortress or whatever. That would be pretty fun. So yeah, I really want to get a little bit more work done over here if I can. Right. Before I pop off, I'd like to just do a little bit. But it is pretty close to bedtime. And I've survived my shift work for this week. So that means that tomorrow I get to do a much longer stream. I'll probably... The latest I would like to start is noon, and I'll probably start earlier than that if I can. Eastern time. So, for Badger, that's 11. And I vaguely remember Iron Torch being also in that. Maybe that's full fraud, though. I could be wrong about that. Oh yeah, is it only 11 o'clock for you, Rebecca? I feel like I want a flat piece of terrain like water without the flat, like unpathable but not unwalkable. But I don't really want it to be water, so I'm probably going to come back to that. Just trying to add a little bit of like border negative space that shapes the terrain a little bit. Oh, well, for me it's also midnight, so I think we're just in the same time zone. Oh, I have a treat for you, Ryan. Don't worry. That's all I can say. All I can say is, no matter how worried you may be, don't. This quote will only make sense when you actually play them, whenever they are released. I was actually debating, like, I kind of feel like the Ahmed tutorial, if you want to call it that, should probably be something that we do in... We might want to try having those racial tutorials exist from Ahmed's POV as the basic tutorials that prime you to play Cosmonarchy. More so than the racial tutorials for Cosmonarchy's setting and like the more hardcore aspect of it or whatever. Boot Camp is inarguably a more like friendly tutorial than the other tutorial content that I've made. And that isn't... I don't feel bad about the tutorial content I've made. I think it's great. I think the tutorial teaching people that they are bad at the game and need to get better, it sounds maybe a little brutal, but it's exactly what I think is appropriate. I think they will be appreciative of that in the long run. But if they are not appreciative of it in the moment, it's probably a good idea to give them a little bit more love. From a more friendly tutorial. And I think that's totally fine. I don't have any problems with that. Have both pieces of content there so that they can enjoy the easier one and then figure out how to play up to the larger one if they need a little bit of extra assistance in that way. And so there's an argument to be made that we should maybe try to make it so that the Zerg and Protoss tutorials for Sovereign Saga coded tutorials arrive before we do more like Terran missions or whatever. At the same time, though, I like the hype of, like, V-Terran 03 is done, and now we get to play it. Oh, I can't wait for V-Terran 04. What's Protogo going to come up with next? It might sound a little cringe for me to say that about myself, but I'm pretending to be a fan here. And I am a fan, so I don't have to pretend very hard. A Scozy mirror strikes fear into my soul. The briefing is pretty cool, I can tell you that much. I've already scripted it out. Pretty cool. All right, so we shaped this up a little bit, mostly visual stuff. I didn't really do much gameplay work. Yeah, I think that'll be acceptable. I was kind of messing around with a couple of ideas over here. I don't really know if I like any of them, though. Every matchup, a lie. Well, Hit 'em Up felt that way about the Escozy, you know? All right, so I think this is where we got to end it up, because I'm at midnight. Time for bed. I will be popping off now to enjoy some sleep, and then I will come back refreshed and make sure to assemble even more exciting Cosmonarchy updates for you guys to enjoy. Tomorrow we'll do some balance adjustments for the game overall. I was going to say the 1v1, but it's also applicable for all the other matchups and team practices and all that. We'll do some balance adjustments live on stream, and then we'll do some more Sovereign Saga. And that's the play. That's the plan. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a longer stream than I have been able to do thus far. This one was not even an hour and a half. The other ones that I've been able to do have usually been around like 2 hours or whatever before I go into shift work. I have no more shift work this week, so I will see you guys for a long one tomorrow. And also on Friday. I'll be streaming on Friday as well. GG. See you guys soon. Peace.